Here, no.
Is that all right, sir?
Yeah.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. I also like to welcome Mark Huffington from Six Rivers News. To move on to the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by, seconded by moved by Mayor Henley, seconded by Carl Black. Are there any questions or discussion to the motion? No. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Comes to my name, motion carried. Number three, approval of a minutes, April 10th, 2024. Hearing no errors or omissions, I declare the minutes as read. I would now like to move on to the town department reports. 4.1, Public Works, presented by Nick Purdy.
Thank you. The Public Works team completed the following tasks for the month of April. We did ditching on 7 Lee Way, removed ice from the arena, new meter installs. We also repaired the sink of the town hall, street sweeping, spring cleanup, crosswalk coverage, and 2 water leaks at the Old Tank Road on Pugwash Road. That's it.
Are there any questions for Mr. Purdy? If not, I'll move on to 4.2, Fire Department, presented by Bruce Ruskin. Fire Chief and Carl Purdy, Deputy Chief.
Thank you. Month of April, the department responded to 19 calls, but it's up to 61 this year so far. 10 medical calls, 9 of which were in town. 2 motor vehicle accidents, 1 vehicle fire, 3 grass or woods fires, 2 structure fire calls, and 1 for public assistance. 12 of those calls were in town, 4 in our coverage area, and 3 assisting neighboring departments. With our medical calls, the department made a decision to actually reduce our level of service to a immediate life threat. This includes cardiac arrest, respiratory arrest, choking with possible obstruction. So these types of calls count for about 2% of EHS calls. The level that we were at, account for 25% of the EHS calls, so this should reduce our number of calls significantly. Last month I mentioned about our backup water supply, if you will, for the town in the event that the hydrants are being repaired or down for any particular reason. And we had mentioned and talked about the dry hydrant that might have been in Black River one time. We were over training recently and discovered that the head is, or the screen is still in the river. And I've already got approval from the Department of Environment that we can excavate near the river and try and find that pipe and extend it. And so it's a fairly insignificant cost compared to installing a whole new system with the proper permits and everything. So that'd be a great help to us.
We had 9 members from our department, 11 from neighboring departments who were currently preparing for taking a wildland training course on the 13th of April. We have members from Collingwood Fire Department on the monthly training night and practicing pump operations, some SCBA, some interior searching, accountability, water shuttle. Of course, we'll be training this Thursday night again, so you'll see the fire trucks around town doing some training. And we had 2 members recently completed level 1 course in Pugwash. It was 14 weeks. So yeah, that was more than 750 personnel hours to do a level 1 course.
So that's quite a commitment for those folks for more than 14 weekends like that. So for sure, appreciate that. I touched on our truck issues last month in terms of need to look at a new replacement truck, which we hope to be able to do that over the next few weeks, have some meetings and try and move that forward. So look forward to that. So,
Are there any questions?
I have a question. I understand why you reduced the service and you mentioned 25% less calls, but it's up to the province or who look after that we're not doing that?
So we'll still assist if EHS requires.
Okay,
So yeah, they're still here, we were just assisting them.
right,
Yeah, so we're still available for calls if the responding paramedics decide they need us, then they'll call.
They'll call, okay.
Yeah.
Beforehand you were going anyway, is that how?
Yeah, they would call for like from dispatchers.
Oh, okay.
Call us,
Right.
so, yeah, and they can still do that if the next are delayed or
Right,
time critical, that type of thing, it could happen,
sure,
but mostly for cardiac arrest and things like that.
right on. No, understood.
Question, what's level one encompass? You mentioned level one.
No, certified, so. we
Yeah.
like, smoke reading, vape rectification. Everything to do with fire and aspects, some ladders, knots, hose streams.
Okay,
So how many in the department would have the level one?
A good majority of it's probably,
Yeah.
very good, 85%. Yeah.
How many levels is there?
Sanders.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Oh, really?
Level one is your standard. You certainly, we have one for sure, that's a level two.
You obviously feel the levels, the clever,
Right.
sounds like you're the first block. You certified and you just.
You can keep going deeper into hazmat items and all kinds of different things.
Question, so you said 61 calls for this year, so you're saying January being the start of your year though, right?
Correct.
Not March.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sorry, yes,
First, no, I was making sure,
Yeah,
just
no.
we have 2 years on the go.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think there's a training going on using the skateboard park area,
Yes.
parking coming up,
Yes.
and I didn't know, did we touch? Did you?
Yeah, it's part of that.
We'll.
We'll be able to, so watch,
Yeah.
you'll share that with us so we can post
Yes,
that.
that's right.
Yeah.
Perfect, okay, just a minute. All right.
Are there any more questions?
Very good.
Well, I'd like to thank the Public Works, Nick Trudy, and I'd like to thank the Fire Department, Bruce Rushton and Kyle Purdy for the reports. I'd like to move on to 4.3, report presented by Linda Bone.
Thank you. So I'm gonna share some administration reports here. So our office has been hard working, in our interim taxes have been done, they've been issued, and they're all in the mail. So if you haven't received it, please contact the office, but they're all in the mail. Our fourth quarter water bills have been prepped as well and sent out, and I think the due date's coming up here, May 24th for the water bills, so we're busy with those right now. A lot of month-end work, year-end work, with the accounting office as well, making sure all the bills are in for the March 31st year end. For municipal election, Meenakshi and I have been meeting weekly, and we've been doing some work on the alternative bylaw. There's some changes we want to make to that. So we will talk about that a little later. It's down in our discussion part of the agenda, so I'll get into that further. But I also want to touch on the Boundary Street water main replacement update. So we have our tender packages now out. It is issued, it's on the public sites. And we wanted to, this project's been in the works for a couple of years now, and we're finally at the stage where we may be able to get this work done. Boundary Street was identified as part of our asset management process. Other streets like Main Street and Little River Road are also on there, but Boundary Street got pushed to the front as there were many water breaks. More breaks than the other locations, and the condition of the road was labeled at that time the worst street in Oxford. In order for us to get to this point, we had to seek funding from various sources. Without these funding sources, we would not be able to proceed. So if all goes as planned, it looks like the town will be funding about 23% of the project because of the funding opportunities we were able to come into. But this all depends on the quotes that come in. So those quotes have not come in. Okay. But I do want to flip back to the municipal election. I did make myself another note I didn't mention. Anyone that is considering to run for council, there is a free webinar for potential councilors. It's called Inside the Civic Chamber, Insights from Municipal Leaders on Serving and Running for Office. It's organized by our NSFM group, and it will be May 29th from 6 till 7:30. This is available on our website as well as on our Facebook page as well. So those are the updates that I have regarding that.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Linda.
Oh, excuse me, you've got dangerous and unsightly.
Oh, yes, my apologies, thank you. That's speed.
Yes.
I missed one, sorry there.
That's what mine was.
It, So this one here, we do have dangerous unsightly. We have 11 cases on the go, different sites on the go. We've had one completely cleaned up. Other than that, things are under either initial inspections or they're on their second phase in the various phases. So, but just to note that we do have 11 dangerous and unsightly sites that's been reported here in the office that we're currently working on.
Do we have any questions for Linda? Well, if not, I'd like to thank Linda for the town staff for respective reports. And I'd like to move on to the council committee reports, which is number 5, presented by Linda Cloney.
And I'll just run through 5 all the way through, just to ease everybody. So we'll start with 5.1, the Accessibility Advisory Committee. So on May 27th, which is coming up, it's a Monday night, is our next meeting with the Accessibility Advisory Committee. We have Julie Glaser is planning to attend. She's the Municipal Accessibility Support Coordinator for the AMANS, which is the Association of Municipal Administrators of Nova Scotia. She's going to present to us the new accessibility audit tool to our committee, but also for staff to utilize this tool. This is to help assist to prevent anything being missed and to make sure that we're having that same lens of accessibility. So it's a standard that's being met. So we're looking forward to that coming up. Next, I have the Recreation Commission. I will add, but I want to check in with Councillor McNutt if you would like to take a lead with what's going on.
Just to let everyone know that we had our volunteer week and it was awesome. We had lots of volunteers and we thank everybody for that. And then we had our Earth Week cleanup and we did a random draw and the winner was Mr. Can's grade 9 class. So I just got the prize today, so I'm going to deliver that to them. So I mentioned it to him and he said that yes, he would make sure they would all get some sort of treats with the prize. Is there something else we did in May? Or April? What number did April?
Earth Week is the big one thing.
I thought there was one other thing we did in April, but I guess we did it.
Cards, was it card making?
Oh, yes, we did have a
Yeah.
craft at I'm still in the future. We had crafts at the arena.
Mhm.
And then the accessible or the walk and wheelability, so I think you're gonna help with that.
Yes. So we had our public session with the block and wheelability. It was a good session. So from that, they're gathering all that data, plus the data when they took a tour of our town and explored the trails and explored the sidewalks and the roads and everything like that. So out of that, they're going to put together a full report to us by the end of May for us to review, and then there'll be a follow-up meeting. So we're going to meet with them on May 29th and review from there. At the end, there's going to be a report as well as a video regarding our streets here and to make things walkable and trails as well, and also bike lanes and all that active transportation. That's the key word.
It was a fabulous session.
It really was.
Great. It really opened my eyes. Someone was there from the Sunset and or whatever
Amanda. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And I never thought before, but people with any accessibility can't get to our ball field.
Yeah,
Like
right.
and because if you don't have accessibility issues, you don't think of that. And our Black River Park,
Yep.
they can't get there either. So we have our July 1st, and it's like everybody's welcome except some people aren't. You know, so it just like things like that. It was a great session.
It opened our eyes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it was really good. So more to come on that. So that's in the works and hopefully finishing up soon. And we'll be able to use that report to assist in potential funding for areas that we'd like to focus on to make things more accessible and moving active transportation. So moving along to Communities in Bloom, we just had our committee here on Monday night, May 6th. We have applied for funding through the Health Board for seeds and soils and plants. We plan to revitalize our community gardens as our first area that we're going to focus on. So we have 2 gardens down by the Black River Park. We would like to add one at the food bank. There's talk of putting one over here by the Blueberry Chair. So that way those at the Sunset Industries could, we're looking to do an accessible one there, as well as revitalize the ones that are up at the trailhead over there. And the thing that happened last year is we had invasive species. So it was confirmed that we would need to dig it all out. And so we're gonna have a digging party coming up in the near future. We are also gonna need to collect some rain barrels. We found out we're gonna need about 4 of those so we can keep watering our gardens. But June 3rd, for anyone that's interested, bring a shovel. But we're gonna have a digging party on those gardens to remove those spaces. So moving along to Source Water Protection Committee, we're currently working on the outputs from that meeting. There's a plan that needs to be approved. There's residents that we need to contact regarding living close to our well site there. And we're still currently building our committee as well. So there's still some reports in the planning department that's working as well, and a plan that we need to approve. Then we held our Road Trails Act Review Committee had a meeting recently as well. And later on, I'm going to talk about that at 6.2 regarding the bylaw. But it was a successful meeting. We actually had a member of the RCMP attend as well. And we also talked about our public information session, which we felt went over pretty well. We had about close to 50 people attend, and that's not including the people that we invited. So we were quite happy with that. So that was successful. The Oxford Capitol Theatre, we have some stuff going on. So we have this week, May 9th, May 10th, and May 11th. There's the Sound of Music playing at the theater. So if you haven't gotten your ticket already, go get your tickets. But admission is the youth under 12 is $15 and general admission is $20. And so yes, stop in and check out the movies. They put a lot of work to check out the show. Cumberland Performing Arts is presenting this play here, so something to look forward to. Plus, we have 2 Jamming It Up sessions scheduled for the theater as well, May 17th and May 31st. And June 2nd is the Johnny Cash Songbook, June 2nd at 2 p.m. So just saying, there's all kinds of stuff going on there. For the library, we have a library report as well that came through from Denise Corey, our chief librarian. And I'll lean to Councillor Black in case I need to add more to it. But currently, the hours are being restored to all the locations in Cumberland County. Is Oxford restored?
Yes, it has.
Been full. Okay. Did the hours change?
It's just longer again on Wednesday,
Mhm.
and I think on Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday. I got it named. Wednesday, the hours were cut by quite a bit on Wednesday, and now they're open from like 10 till 7, I think, all day with no breaks. Like it was just 10 till 12 and 1 to 3 or something. It's open all day, and it's open again on Saturday. I think it's open till 3 now. It's open till 1.
Okay, so that's hard. So they'll send out a notice, so all the hours, so we can get that posted as well. So that's not posted anywhere, so we should get that posted. So the provincial library funding is under review right now. So the provincial government has begun a funding review for all public libraries in the province. So out of that is our chair, and the chair for our Cumberland area is Dale Hawthorpe, and he's an Amherst Town Councillor. And so he's going to be assisting on those meetings. Food security, there's been a touch on that as well, a success here. We have Cumberland Public Libraries received a $52,900 grant from the Department of Communities, Culture, Tourism, and Heritage for food security. So the library will be providing snacks in all locations, as well as working with the community partners. So that's really good news.
We have those at the library now too. When you go into the left, there's a basket that has snacks.
Very good. So the chief librarian held the Cumberland Public Library held a state of the library session. It was well attended. So it was a public meeting on April 25th at Spring Hill Library. So that was well attended. And also it was streamed live right to their Facebook page if anybody wants to review that. So it is available online. So statistics. So Cumberland Public Library signed close to 14,000 items. 800 of those items were in Oxford. So it's pretty good. And so those items could include books, DVDs, magazines, renewals, and ebooks and stuff. So in February, the Oxford Library offered there was one in-person program they offered and they had 5 people in attendance. And they currently had, Oxford Library had 224 in-person visits, so there's lots going on at the library.
And, excuse me,
Yeah, absolutely.
today, they just posted this today, so I'm just make sure what it said. It's, they're looking for something for someone for the community board member at the library. The meetings are once every 3 months, I think, maybe an extra one thrown in. And they're in Amherst at the library, or you can Zoom. It just says this individual will have a passion for public libraries and their contribution to the community. And that's pretty much all you need. You sit for a term of 2 years with an option to renew for an additional 2 years. And you apply with a resume, cover letter to the Cumberland Libraries in Amherst. And it's on Facebook under Cumberland Library Board, Cumberland Libraries.
Can you put that on our Facebook site?
Share, comments already shared.
Cool.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so moving along, we had our audit committee meeting on May 1st. We reviewed the draft operating capital and water budgets in great detail. It's a good lengthy meeting we had that night. So it is ready to council with recommendations, so we're going to follow that up immediately after committee of the whole to a special council meeting. So stay tuned after we're finished with committee of the whole. Then we had the police advisory board, we met as well, and so from that, they approved the January 30th minutes, and a lot of the topic that we're getting right now is speeding. There's speeding issues on Little River Road, Lower Spring Street, Birchwood Road, and coming into town as well. So it seems to be all our trunk roads, everybody coming in or out of town. So we just remind people to slow down. You are in town limits, there's children's playing, and it is an issue that's been brought up. Also, we're noticing as far as staff goes, the speeding in the work zone is an issue now as well. So the fines double in a work zone. So just to remind people to slow down. So that came out of our RCMP. As well, the RCMP report is attached on our website as well in our council package. And just so everyone's aware, so from January 1st to March 31st, there were 98 total calls that had to be opened and investigated, looked at. I'm not saying they're all criminal. The criminal was at 28 of them fell under the criminal code, and 70 of them fell under the non-criminal code offenses. So if anyone's wanting, it's actually an interesting report too. I encourage people to check that out. And then we have the Northern Region Solid Waste Report. So this year they had a meeting recently, and actually Councillor McNutt attended, as well as our staff member Nick Purdy attended as well. And so the minutes are on our council package as well for approval. They've already been approved by that committee there, so that's fine. And then they also had discussion regarding the extended producer responsibility for recycling, and C&D regulations were some of the hot topics that were talked about that day. So that is, unless Councilor McDonald wants to add anything to it, no. So those are the items regarding the boards and committees.
I'd like to thank Linda for the committees and boards and respective reports, Kelly Carlack and Mrs. McNutt. I'd like to move on to item 6, discussion correspondence presented by Linda Blow.
Okay, thank you. Back to the bylaw. So we're gonna do a deep dive into our bylaw. And regarding that, with the bylaw, we have to, there's a section we're gonna need to change if we wanna have electronic election. So reviewing the bylaw, council wants to have the option to have a fully electronic voting, then we need to change section 3 in the current bylaw. So the section would read, subject to the bylaw, alternative voting shall be permitted on alternative polling days. And then B to that is council may by resolution, provided that voting via telephone and via personal computing device shall be the only means of voting for an election. So this gives the option for council to say, okay, this is gonna be only fully electronic, election, then this will give you guys the authority to do that, which
Person did the last election was 100% electronic.
it was, this tightens it up.
Okay,
This is what this is, we're cleaning up the bylaw.
good.
There's no more going to polls.
You have the option each time we go to election, you can, do a resolution and say we wanna go fully electronic. Or you don't need to do election at all, and you can, there's paper ballots.
So we're not deciding right now what we're gonna do, we're just changing the bylaw to
That's
allow.
correct, to allow, yes. And, so that will be, this copy of the first reading will be presented to council at our next council meeting.
Regular guys.
Yes. Okay. So just, that was a good finding and good tightening up, to clean up, regarding our alternative voting bylaws, so. Just wanted to report that as a new finding and why we're going to go ahead with that. And then if I may jump into the road trails designation bylaw, so that's another bylaw that we're drafting as well. And, I don't have it right on me, but we did have a meeting and it was a consensus to present to council a first reading of the road trails designation bylaw. And the option is just to do a designated route, not to do all the streets in Oxford. So that's the, but it would be presented to council for first reading, so. So it's under draft.
And when will that happen?
At the council meeting on the 22nd, yes. So just wanted to let council know it's coming up and consider, it's going to be for consideration. Not saying we're doing this consideration.
Are there any further business to discuss? If hearing none, I can declare this meeting closed, and I'll now pass the chair over to Mary Henley to conduct the special council meeting.
Okay. Are you going to stop or are you going to pause or going right there? Okay. Thank you, Deputy Chairman Dowell. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of Oxford Town Council for May 8th, 2024. You've all got a copy of the agenda. Can I have a motion for approval, please?
Second.
Okay, I've got a mover and 2 seconders. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Okay, everybody, this is where we turn it over to Ruth Ann Brookins, and she's gonna present, I guess it's called the budget. Floor is yours.
Okay, so I have plenty exciting stuff tonight. So I have 3 budgets here to present, the general operating, the water operating, and the capital projects in budget. So Stan has lined it there on the screen, so that people at home can follow along with us. Well, basically, these budgets have been in the works for a couple, 3 months now. When I review them according to last year's budget, if they look actually in the year. And they, we had the audit meeting, and the audit committee, has recommended that the council, accept this as written. The budget includes no increase in the residential or commercial tax rates, and there be no increase in the sewer rate as well. There is an increase in the water rates as recommended by UARB. So you will see, page 1 shows the tax rates, and then page 2 shows the sewer rates, all the different sewers we have. And then the water rates comes right out of our UARB recommendation. And then, so we start with the general operating. And I'll go through all the budgets, some of them are tied in one another, so maybe just go through them all, and if anybody has any questions, ask. But I mean, if there's something that we want to know right away, ask me. You might find out the answer by the end. But- So. In the general operating, is presented on page 5, the general operating starts. There's 2 columns. And one is the approved budget that we had last year, and then the second column is the proposed budget for this year. And this first page, the first 2 pages, 5 and 6, are both revenues. And you notice, under the tax revenues, you do have the residential and commercial tax, of course. There's a couple other items in there like deed tax, transfer tax and whatnot. And basically, at the end of each section, I have put 2 lines, the change from the prior budget in percentage of how much it's gone up. And then also letting you know what percentage of that section is of the whole revenues. So kind of gives you an idea of, so tax revenues have gone up from 83% of our budget revenues to 84. The change from the prior budget is they have gone up 6%, and that's because property valuations have gone up. It's not because, as I say, this budget is based on keeping the tax rate the same, but that's due to property valuations. Grants in lieu, we did have a 32% increase there. That's due to mainly the liquor store renovations. Their property valuation went up substantial. And you notice their, the revenue from grants and lieu has remained at 2%. The services to other governments, and that's the fire protection, that's what Cumberland County currently pays us for our fire department. It standardly goes up by CPI every year, which is 4%. So it has remained at 2% of our total revenues. Our own source revenue, it's gone down a little from 4% down to 3%. And basically the decrease is a good thing because there's less interest being charged. This is most likely due because we got rid of a lot of old tax accounts from the tax sale, and less interest is being charged, as well as the arena has found efficiencies in the electrical part due to themselves and the louvers that were just put in. So they did not have to, they only had to give us back $800 this year for the expenses. They pretty much broke even, where last year they had to give us 13,000. So they did really well, and kudos to them. That's great. All conditional transfers, we've stayed the same with the revenue, 7%. It has increased 10% from last year. The municipal financial capacity grant has gone up for towns by 25,000. That's an increase that they did this year, so I'm glad of that. That helps the towns. Other transfers gone down by 6%, but we're still maintaining the 2% level of total revenues. So this is mostly due to less COVID money is available to spend. That's what it is, so we're transferring. So we're dealing with a $3,120,000 budget. That's how much revenues as the we have. And when I'll show you how we are proposing to spend it, starting on page 7. Everything in the budget has been increased by the CPI. The Nova Scotia CPI average of 2023 is 4%. So if the expenses have been decreased or increased not by 4%, it's because there's other line factors like mandated things that we had to do, or maybe it was the budget was too high on it last year and the actual was much lower, so I just I went into every line and checked to see how low. So general administration, the other thing I want to mention here is the employees have a 6% increase in across the board on their wages. This matches the QP agreement with the Public Works Department, and it brings the wages up to the CPI increase over the last few years. This was recommended by the Personnel Committee and also forwarded by the Audit Committee to go forward. There's been an increase in the mayor and councilor's wage as discussed last year and agreed upon then, so that you'll see those have gone up by more than 4%. So we also have a municipal election expense this year of 17,000, which we don't have every year, so this is in this part of the budget. If you look at the very end figure, you'll see that the percentage of the total expenditures that we're spending in general government has actually gone down 1%. We did have some savings this year. We changed phone plans and internet plans, and there's a few things we cut out that so that's good. And the change from last year budget is actually 0%. It rounds up, so I mean it could be like 0.2 or something. The next section is the protective services. So when you look at the police, the approved budget last year, they gave me a figure that actually they did not charge as much as what they anticipated. So we actually had a 2% decrease from last year's there as well. The corrections is now being the corrections portion of that section, we will no longer be charged by the government for corrections, which is a huge deal. It's 15,000 a year, so sorry. So with those two decreases there, we went from a 21 to a 19% of the budget is now spent on that. Fire, they stuck to their budget really well last year, and we increased it by the 4% across the board with everything to so that's a standard CPI. And as well with the emergency management and the other protective services such as the building inspection officer and the animal control that you have to do. I just did a 4% across the board there. What I did just to show you for all the protective services, this would include the police, the fire, the emergency management, and other protective services. We are maintaining 32% of our budget is being spent on that. And so transportation services, this is basically the Public Works Department area. There's been some raises in salaries there. And we also had another person. So we were short staffed the first of last year. There's at the end of that, it has gone up 6%, but we're still maintaining 18% of our budget is being spent. There's environmental health services, and that's sewer. We are spending a little more there. It has raised it from 8 to 9% of the total budget will be spent on sewer. We had a lot of sewer problems this year, and we have put into the budget that we are going to rent a back truck to come in and regularly flush the lines on a regular basis, and also put some money in there in case we do have sewer backups that are all fall into places. So yeah, and as well, the transfer station, it has gone up 20,000 because we've been mandated by the Department of Environment to make a plan for water testing and protection there, which is a lot of good cost. So basically there, we're going up 1% each. Yes. It's on a 14%. Still maintaining the same percentage of the budget. The next section is the public health and environmental development. Gone down and how much we're spending for the total budget down to 2% for this. And that is because the government has come through and said we're no longer charging municipalities for the deficit regional housing authority, which is huge because that was like 30,000 a year. So it's great news. And so that covers your medical center and housing issues. Recreation and cultural. So if you look at the arena, the change from the prior year budget, it's down 8%, and that's mostly the arena electricity went down substantial last year. And so the louvers must be helping and just better management. 2% of our expenditures happen at the arena, and that is the maintained. Fields and library. Just 1% of our budget there goes towards fields and library, and we have put a little more money in there in case we do need some signs for this 4-wheel. Yes, and the library expense is also in here, and it's also on the revenue side. I probably didn't point that out, but it's in and out sort of thing because it's coming out of our reserves, operating reserves. Theater is 1%. Actually, it's lower than 1%, but 0.5% credits up to 1%. So not much change there. 2% increase. The recreation has increased by 22%, but it's still maintaining just 2% of our budget. So the big increase there is because we're going to have a horticulturist, and we're paying 40% of the wage, but then need something for them to work with too. So that's in there. Fiscal, that's paying back any loans that we have, principal on those loans, and also any transfer to reserves. So there is a bit of a change in this one. Put the transfer to reserves up from 100 to 285,000 because we're trying to maintain our reserves. And we have a lot of capital projects that we wish to undertake. So in order to undertake those, we have to replenish our reserves. So you notice it's gone from 16 up to 19% of the budget, and change from last year's 21% on that. So that's the general operating. Now we're gonna carry on to the water.
I have a couple of questions about that, or do we want to do all of it first?
Okay, what are they?
So one thing I always wonder, why does it cost so much to have an election, and who decides 17,000?
We based it on the prior election.
So what
And
cost?
we have to have enough money in there for 2 in case they don't.
Right.
We don't have enough people.
Right.
So history has it.
Yeah.
Usually the last couple of elections, you'll get 4 seats filled, you get an acclamation, and then you need a special election to fill the other couple of seats. So our goal is to go the first time and get it all.
17,000 being spent on.
Just the full election, you have to start all over again. You got your nomination ads, you got your clerks, you got your, the IntelliVote software. All that put together, you add it up, it's the first one, it's about 8,000. For one full election, if it goes all the way.
So is that IntelliVote, or is that very expensive? Is that, like, what's the bulk of the $8,000?
The wage for the
You get your clerk in there, she's
Yeah.
15.
all your wages for the people.
You have advanced polls.
Yeah, advanced poll,
Right. So it's mostly,
Our ads are expensive too in the paper.
Yes.
And the software, that software is a big.
right,
big
I'm not
portion.
sure how much that's, and you have to do that, because that's.
Exactly, and we'll be presenting that at council at the 22nd, the great school
Yeah.
election.
Cool, no, I just wondered, and then did we ever go back to the county as far as the fire department?
We're working on it.
Okay,
This was not going to change this year regardless, because our agreement is still in effect this year.
okay, one more.
It can only change for next
Okay.
year, the amount.
I have a question. Under fiscal services, I see MFC, Fire Hall, Medical Center, all zero. Did we have loans with them and they?
Yeah, that
They're all-
loan was the one that's gone away. We paid them.
However, okay, just wanted clarification.
We had a big loan.
Yeah, so what's the
Fire hall paid.
Yeah,
fire hall's paid for, everything else is paid for.
fire, there's a few other things in there with that venture, medical center, and all arena.
That's excellent. Okay, does anyone have any more questions for Ruth Ann regarding this operating budget? Not, we'll move on to,
Water.
well, general operating fund, do you want to cover that page?
That was
Oh, you did that.
just,
Right. Okay,
yeah, that
Water
was the end of
operating.
the other one.
off you go.
Okay, so water operating is its own fund completely, so all the water. The revenues we gather from the water bills, and this is how it's spent. So. Unfortunately, the numbers aren't as good with revenue as I would like them to be, but they have gone down 1%. Oxford Frozen Foods is not using as much water. They had a substantial decrease. They've been purposely trying to decrease their water costs. And as well, we also we still have a lot of meters, that old and broken meters that need replaced to make sure the consumption gets back up there. So once those things are done, I'm hoping that we'll go back for another review next year, once we get the new meters on. And we'll have to see where we're at, because we need more revenue there. So the change from the prior year budget is 1%. So if you go to page 15, this is the expenditures in the water. There's been a lot of variation, and a lot of it has to do with mandated reporting with the environment that has happened over the last year or so. The expenditures for the source power and pumping has gone down 15%, and we had a $30,000 set up of a water protection plan for source water last year, so that was a one-time charge. So we don't have that this year, so with that, I was able to put the repairs and maintenance back to 21,000. So that looks good on that one. The treatment, however, it has gone up from 8% of the revenue to 11%, so not like 35%. So the treatment has gone up because now the environment's mandated I guess it's not environment, but we have to have an DRC person come in and check the water treatment. It's a certified person. We have no one certified here. Also in that is a courses for us to train people to become certified, but it takes 2 to 3 years. So this could be a constant cost. This could be a costly year for a couple of years until we get someone certified. This is a new thing for us. Transmission and distribution. Last year in T&D maintenance and services, we went over the budget from 36,000 up to 43,000. So I put it up to 45,000 because if you're doing just as many water breaks and whatnot as we did last year, so. And it really is going up just 1% from 15 to 16% of the budget. So it was a 7% there. Now administration. It has gone from 20 up to 22% of budget. And last year we had part of the skater worked on, it was a $20,000 deal. Now this year we have to spend another 30,000 on the skater to have the communication portion done. So that is in this budget and that's the biggest increase. To do with that. In the other column, that's basically your depreciation. I predict that will go up if we have new water main and whatnot, it gets depreciated. And so then your depreciation go up. So up from 36 to 37% of the budget. So that is a change of 1% overall in the expenditures during the revenues. The balance that by it's fairly quite well this year, so we'll read it through the years.
Do you want to take any questions on the
Any
water?
questions on the water?
I have one question, the SCADA machine there, I understand that you have to have internet that's constant all the time at the well site.
Yeah,
What are we doing to make that happen? I understand it's not very constant right now. Is that correct?
Eastlink works out there better than the Bell, but
yeah, some of the guys think it
yeah.
service it there. And I'm not sure if the communication part will probably learn, but what has to happen there.
Well, as I understand, I mean, the SCADA, once this is up and running, you should be able from here tell what your daily consumption is or your weekly or whatever. And I think that would be a big benefit forward.
I think it's part of the communication plan, and we'll just keep.
Okay, yeah, and that's what happened.
Yes,
Yeah, that's this portion, all 50,000 in the same year, and then get part of it done last year.
Well, no, I just found it a little frustrating to get the right amount of water consumption so that we
Yeah.
can know what we're doing, so.
Yeah, no.
So we will have a water gas study too, the other way.
The end of May.
Carry on.
Carry on. Now, the proposed capital projects are on page 17. The town roof hall, that's carryover from last year. Town hall heat and cooling generating system, we're looking at heat pumps and various methods, so. A lot of these capital projects are very dependent on quotes that come in. And so keep that in mind while you're. That library one-time fee is going to come out of the operating reserve. Capital theater, we need a new furnace there too. So that's a estimated fees that at 15,000. Sidewalks, just, 50,000 there, paving 200,000, if we can get $100,000 funding somewhere, so we'd like to go with that. Equipment fleet zero turn mower, that was a wish from Public Works. And the Public Works garage, they have a wood stove there and they have to get it certified, so we're hoping that all goes good. If not, just stuck money there just in case, but may not come to light that we have to use it. We do, however, need to do something about a Public Works storage building. It needs replaced, and just estimated we're waiting on quotes there for this as well. And I always throw a wastewater pump in there in case one goes. So that may or may not get spent. The other thing that's been on the list and we've talked about for a couple of years is the fire truck. And we're pending on agreement with, we'd like to see what the county is going to come forth with too. And we'd also like to, get it analyzed. I know Bruce has been looking into new fire trucks for quite some time now, trying to figure the best cost. Water capital, the main thing on our list this year is the Founder Street water main replacement. And our last estimate from Dylan was 1.8 million. And a hydrant replacement, Nick thought he might need that, so it's there if he needs it. One of the things we have to do this year, I guess this would have came out of that source plan, was we had to buy some more land or out by the wells in order to protect our water source. So the cost of this is estimated at 6,000. There's also a water line that needs replaced on River Avenue. Again, not sure the cost, but put a number in there. Now, if you look at page 18, it will tell you how all these projects would be financed. And the capital reserve would take 287,000. And that's why I want to put 285,000 back into it from the operating. That would be contracted out of reserves. We could take out a loan this year. We did just finish off a loan, and our debt ratio is at a very low level for capital projects, not water, but just capital projects. So put 850 there. I'm hoping to get a grant for paving, hoping to get a grant for part of the fire truck. These are all things that we worked on this year. And more agreement made at a later date. Water capital source financing for Founder Street, we do have that lined up if the quotes come in as we anticipate. We have a sustainable services growth fund that was given to us last year, and it has to be used by the end of 2020. I get the wrong date in there, it should be 25. It's March of 2025, not 24. 286,000, also gas tax funding, it's going to put that towards the paving part of Founder Street. They give us gas tax every year, and we've gathered it up for a couple of years. Federal, provincial funding, we applied for this funding, and we received it. It's 50% of the cost of the project. And so then what would have to come out of water capital is $590 if all those projects are done. And that would include all those any other little things like the survey and all that. Traffic, happens reserve. So it's a $3.684 million capital budget. And it's one little thing on the bottom. If we do go ahead with Foundry Street and the quotes come in as we anticipated, just to let you know, 77% of it's been funded by the government and 23% of it's 20% dollars.
Yeah, very good.
Anybody have any questions for Ruthann regarding the budget?
219,000 for River Avenue, so that's a rough estimate.
That's right. No idea.
It shouldn't cost near that much. Public Works should do the whole job on their own. It shouldn't have to be contracted out.
Any other questions for Ruthann?
I don't have a question, but I have like a comment.
Yeah.
I would love to have a piece posted on like our social media or whatever online about all this stuff that we talk about for paving, but to kind of like dumb it down, get one post and explain how it all works. So when you go on social media and every complaint in this town, 90% of them are pave the roads, pave the roads, pave the roads, pave the roads. And as a social media user, I would just be like, But just, what we're trying to do, trying to watch our meetings, but people maybe don't, and I get it, you might not wanna watch our meetings. But I would love to have, like, this is how it works, we put it in reserve, so that we can get good sense of the dollar. This, and like, what things cost, like this is actually what it costs, and people don't realize that it costs like $1 million to pay from A to B. Like, I would love to have like just a thing that we could just say, here, like explain how it all works.
And the other thing you have to consider that a lot of people don't really think about. If the road is in really bad shape, yes, but if underneath you need that water main replaced. If you tear that whole street up and you repave that, and now you're gonna have water breaks there, and you're tearing out some pavement.
Right.
You gotta fix the water.
So I would love to have
Try
that, like,
to not do that.
in one sheet, like a
Cheat sheet.
a cheat sheet of this is why we haven't gone out and, you know, paved every road or
Right.
fixed every road. We're trying.
Because it's very costly to pay.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and we're trying, we're getting there with our reserves and trying to fix water breaks and whatever, like, it would be nice to have that info.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. Someone's gonna make a motion to the budget, or do you have a question?
No, I wanna make a motion.
Okay.
Whole motion here.
I'm gonna,
What am I doing?
don't, because
Oh,
you're the
you're-
chair, but, yeah,
Oh,
That is on the page.
there's an analysis you're doing.
yeah, that's. I have as well,
No, then you go.
Okay, move on.
where she was chair.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
no,
yeah.
no.
Councilman McNutt, would you like to make a motion?
Can I actually? Then am I doing them back to back to backs?
But have to vote on each one individually. Yes.
Okay, 2024-2025 general operating budget. I move that the council of the town of Oxford estimate that the sum required for the lawful purposes of the town of the year 2024-2025, after crediting probably revenues from all sources other than the rates for the year, is the sum of $3,120,457. And further resolve that the deed transfer tax will remain the same at 1.5%. And further resolve that the town council hereby authorizes the levying and collection of a rate for the current year of 4.2804 per $100 on the value of the property assessed in the assessment roll as and $1.7874 per $100 on the value of the property assessed in the assessment roll as residential and resource property, and 25 cents on the value of the property assessed in the assessment roll as forest acreage under 50,000. And further resolve that the sewer rates will remain the same, and they are as follows.
You probably don't need to list the code, but just say sewer flat rate.
Sewer flat rate, $325. Sewer flat rate, send number sign one, $4,875. Option frozen foods rate, $15,725.
You'll have to also code now.
Yeah, and then, so sewer, these are all sewer flat rates. Code 10, $325. Code 12, $487. Code 13, $569. These are all dollars. Code 14, $650. Code 15, $731. 16, $812. 17, $975. 18, $1,381. 19, $1,137. Code 20, $1,300. 21, $1,462. 22, $3,635. Apartment complex, OES, 6,337, OREC sewer rate, 0587918, $974. And further resolve that an interest rate of 1.5% per month or 18% per annum compounded be charged on the 2024-2025 tax bills. Still, and that interest charges are applied on the first day of each month for outstanding amount.
Do we have a seconder? Okay, moved by Councilman McNutt, seconded by Councilor Channing. You've all heard the motion. Any questions? No questions. All those in favor, please raise a hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
I happen to have another one.
Oh, excellent. Carry on.
Town of Oxford approved the 2024-2025 capital budget as presented for the amount of $3,684,000.
Oh,
No,
it's 3,680.
got the decimal in there.
Yes.
Let's try that again. The town sort of approved 2024-2025 capital budget as presented for the amount of $3,684,001.
Okay, moved by Councilor McNutt, second by Deputy Mayor McDonald. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand, and say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Last one. I move that the town of Oxford approve the 2024-2025 water operating budget as presented. And that in accordance with the Nova Scotia Utility and Review Board, NSUARB, order for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, the rates are as follows. Water base charges quarterly, unmetered, based on 15,000 imperial gallon per quarter, $109.55. Size of meter, 5/8, $80.30. 3/4, $117.84, 1 inch, $192.92, 1.5 inch, $380.61, 2 inch, $605.85, 3 inch, $1,206.47, 4 inch, $1,882, decimal 18, 6 inch, $3,759, decimal 14. Consumption rate per 1,000 imperial gallons is $1.95. Yep, the minimum bill shall be the base charge.
We have a motion, do we have a seconder?
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilor McNutt, second by Councilor Drive. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Ruth Ann, for all your diligence. Thank you, for the committee with it, committee, for all your diligent work. We'll move right along. Next on our agenda, revision of boards, committees. Councilor Jones has mentioned he would like to sit on the fire department committee. I think we need a motion to put that into place. Would someone like to make that motion? So moved. Second. Moved by Councilor or Deputy Mayor McDonald, second by Councilor McNutt. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. 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 Motion contrary minded, motion carried. Okay, next up, we have to go in camera. We've got to discuss acquisition, sale, lease, and security of municipal property. We have a motion to go in camera, please.
Second.
Do you want to